right, welcome to today's special episode. I'm your host, Nina Roseman, and we'll be diving into one of the most important and timely topics in shaping the future of Southeast Asia, especially in strengthening between Thailand and Malaysia trade relationships, and how can we take a look on ASEAN roles on navigating the changing geopolitical landscape. And for this episode, we're going to explore how Thailand and Malaysia can explore or unlock new trade opportunities, overcome trade barriers, and enhance the strategic investment collaboration. And joining me in the studio, and he's at Malaysia right now, a distinguished guest, and I'm honored to welcome Your Excellency Umesh Pandey, the Thailand Trade Representative, who has been at the forefront of fostering trade and economic ties between Thailand and its regional partners. I want to say thank you very much, Umesh, for joining me. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
And talking about the relationship between Thailand and Malaysia, to begin our conversation, let's take a look at the economic ties between Thailand and Malaysia. How far have we come in strengthening the trade relationship between Thailand and Malaysia, and what progress have we made so far?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for having me on the show. Truly appreciate it. It's my first official visit to Malaysia in my new position that I got 3 months ago. My Prime Minister was here in December, from December 14 to 16, and had a good meeting with your Prime Minister, where they discussed on exactly what you're talking about, how to strengthen the trade relations. The targets were set. We, as Thai trade representatives, are here. Basically, my job here is to look at ways to follow up on what the two Prime Ministers had agreed on. The target was set at $30 billion by 2027, from 26 odd that we had. So it's a $4 billion increase over the next 18 to 20 months. We have to do it. I think trade relations between Malaysia and Thailand, I always, over the last few days that I've been doing my visits to and meeting people and businessmen, I've been saying, if we want to expand anywhere, Malaysia, the most prosperous neighbor that we have, is the best market to move in. And similarly, for you to move up as well. We have everything that you need, every supply chain, everything that you require is there. Similarly, you have strength in certain areas. We have strength in certain areas. Let's complement each other. And this is what will lead us to a better trade relations between the two, and hopefully reach that $30 billion target even before the 2027 deadline that we have. So hopefully the intention is to work together, make it stronger relations between the two sides.
And you know, as you mentioned, that both countries have a deep and long-standing trade relationship. And as you mentioned, this country, Malaysia and Thailand, both have their own unique strength. But there are still areas with untapped potential. Maybe you can share with us what industries or even sectors that are still underutilized, and how can both Thailand and Malaysia unlock these new opportunities?
So sectors that are underutilized, you have a strength in the halal industry, you have strength in biotech and agri. We are looking at those areas. Your industry we have strengths in the auto sector, we have strengths in the medical sector, we have strength in the building material sector. Those are things that you can tap on us. Similarly, your industries are very strong. I met some of your financial sector. You have a very strong financial sector here. I've been pitching more investments from that area as well. So there are things that we both can complement each other. So in a way, I've actually given homework to my officers here to look at which areas do you think are ones that they want to expand, that's Malaysian companies want to expand into my country. Similarly, we did a business matching yesterday. We brought in 20 plus companies to Malaysia.
Wow,
so
it's quite a lot of numbers.
It is. The intention there is we are walking our talk. We want to push business connectivity to new levels. Will it go through even if we bring 20, even if 10% of that do some business? I will think myself to be successful, at least for this trip. So And there'll be more trips on both sides. I'm coming from private sector. If you did my homework, I'm coming from private sector all my life, 25 years of private sector. I believe in delivery. Get things delivered, get it done, show the results, rather than keep it on the shelf or leave it for the future. So you will see results, but give it some time. I'm in this job for 3 months.
No, we'll put easy on. There's no pressure. It won't be coming from us, Malaysia,
No,
but it will coming from Thailand.
No, it's my own pressure. I want to deliver.
Understand?
I truly want to deliver. I want to see a greater relation. Economic relation leads to better diplomatic relations, better people-to-people relations. I want to see that. I believe in ASEAN. If you read about me, you'll see I was the person who's writing about ASEAN since 2004. I believed in the concept of ASEAN. And today you are the chair. Malaysia is the chair. There's so much we can do together, so much we can do together. And push the ASEAN notion forward.
And this is one of the reasons we need more voices and leaders like you to bring forward all the ideas, to push forward the changes and the impact, definitely.
Hope so. Hope so. That's the intention, is to push change, push it through, at least try. What I believe is, try doing things. If you don't succeed, you can go back and say, at least you tried.
There's
Not
nothing wrong with it.
Exactly.
Correct. There's nothing wrong with it.
You tried, unsuccessful, no matter. What if you're successful? Chances of being successful is higher. So I believe in that. That's my philosophy.
There's always risks in doing anything, actually, small, big, but there also opportunities comes along the way.
Yes.
And we know that, as you mentioned earlier, that companies coming into Malaysia, coming to Thailand, expanding their business globally within the regional level, and then we can say that there will be more trips. But also, this is some of the business, or we can say companies, they must not only look at the exciting opportunities, but also the significant challenge where I want to bring to breaking the trade barriers. What are some of the, we can say, biggest pain point for businesses to operate across Malaysia and Thailand? Are there policy or regulatory changes in the pipeline to ease their challenges?
There are. Thank you for raising that question, and it is paramount. Over the last 3 days, we have been listening to businessmen's problem. There are many problems that ASEAN as a group needs to sort it out. I did not know these problems while I was in the private sector. And I'm going to go back, and I actually, this morning actually, before I came to your studio, I was again meeting some, your Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, FMM, if I'm right, that's FMM. And they raised some issues. Prior to this, some of your leading businessmen raised similar issues. I cannot yet divulge what the issues are, but I told the FMM, raise it with your ministry. I will raise it with my ministry. Let's push it while we are here. Let's push things as we go. Let's push for a change under Malaysian leadership. And see if all 10 countries agree to it or not. If all 10 countries agree, you will see a sea change in ease of doing business among the 10 ASEAN countries. I'll touch upon something else with and this may or may not be in your question list. I have been saying this in the last few weeks, last few actually months. In unity of ASEAN is our strength. The upheaval that we are seeing today in the global trade environment, I'm not mentioning anything here, it's up to you to make that assumptions. If we have a vibrant ASEAN economic community where consumption in ASEAN remains intact, or at least we live off each other, whatever the upheaval may be around the world, we will be able to sustain certain level of growth. If we don't have that unity, if we don't push ourselves to be reliant on each other far more, ASEAN FTA is there, things are there, but there are certain members who may want to be putting some kind of non-tariff barriers, and countries have their vested interests. In that kind of scenario, We need to have all those things removed. Let ASEAN be together to be able to counter any. I'm trying to be more diplomatic. I've been a journalist all my life, so I've been in the position that you are in. So I'm trying to be more diplomatic in the way I'm answering, and that's why I'm a little, I'm thinking more like a journalist. But you have to think about how we can avoid any kind of major impact that would come or befall upon us in the near future. Mm-hmm. And that will only come from us helping each other out. So yeah, there are many issues that can be sorted out, but the key that I said earlier, I'm going to present it to my government. I've asked FMM here to present it to Malaysia, and I said if Malaysia can sort this issue out, then we as ASEAN will benefit. Malaysia will get the fame that they have managed to get something done. Mm-hmm. This is a major thing for the business community. So let's work together. And Malaysia's leadership with Malaysia, and next one is Philippines, I think it'll be easier because business friendly. Everybody is looking to create a greater ASEAN economic cooperation. So.
And as you mentioned that one of our greatest strengths for ASEAN is unity.
Yes.
But we know for these 10 different countries, they have their own motive, agenda, planning, execution, implementation. So probably, other than talking about the trade barriers, but for all of us to come together, is it the biggest challenge is our political will?
No, there's a political will there. Mm-hmm. Even 10 members in a family would not be, sorry if I can say this, but 10 members in a family would not get along together. And this is a family.
Correct.
You expect country of say 25 million, 10 million, 70 million, 260 million, you think they will be able to, a total of 700 million people, nearly 700 million people of ASEAN.
Correct. Even family have some ups and downs. What
exactly.
about the countries?
Countries, there will be differences. There has to be differences. It's good to have differences.
Yes.
But when it comes to working together, the differences sometimes need to be put aside and work to benefit the people, the region. And I always believe when crisis happens, if I can give an example of family again, I could be fighting with my sister, my brother, whoever, but when a crisis takes place, we all get together.
Mm-hmm. Understand?
We are approaching that era at the moment. Mm-hmm. Economically, there may be challenges going forward. I don't want to say crisis, and that will be the trigger for us to be together. I believe that, okay? Mm-hmm. I believe that. And I'm pitching that to every country I'm going to talk to, every minister I'm going to talk to, where I'm going, I'm saying, for a change, let's put aside our differences. Face the challenge that's coming. When it's going to come, we don't know. Mm-hmm. But that will be the trigger to keep us together.
Correct. Even though that we can see that when we're together as a whole, unity, we also can receive the impact, the benefit, advantage as a whole.
Exactly.
But also, the risk is also big. But like you mentioned, like you said, if we come together, we can face any challenges, small or big. And talking about the moving forward, we want to talk about also the supply chain resilience of Malaysia and Thailand, given that the global disruptions with the new tariff, probably the maybe block AI from Joe Biden's. How can Thailand and Malaysia strengthen the supply chains collaboration to enhance trade security and the efficiency?
I think trade security and supply chain tariffs you mentioned. I was trying to not mention the word tariff there, but that was the threat I was trying to say. I think tariffs we will deal with as an ASEAN grouping. We will eventually have to deal with it together. When it's coming, how it's coming, we don't know. Hopefully not. But we should be prepared, and we have been prepared. Most of us are prepared. In terms of supply chain disruption, we saw that during COVID. We saw that during even basic supply chain shortages that we saw in the last few years, where even a ship getting stuck in the Suez Canal created a supply chain disruption that literally crippled the world. There are supply chains that will be, because we are so interconnected globally, but within ASEAN, our network, our supply chain remains strong, remains good, and little, if any, disruption has taken place, even during COVID, if you saw. What is of bigger challenge for countries such as Malaysia and Singapore is food supply.
Food supply.
Food security. Okay. I think that is something that we ASEAN can also work on. How to create food security within ASEAN itself. Your neighbors are your brothers and sisters. How do we secure my country has excess food of supply of rice, and we have food-wise, food security is very good for us, and thankfully, thank God for that. But how can we help our neighbor, yourself? How can we help Singapore? Should we make Malaysia and Singapore the priority to other countries? If you ask me, yes. Unstable, insecure in terms of food supply neighbor is a disaster for us as well, for anybody. So if you ask me, that's again back to the same thing, was how can we complement each other? Always complement and look for ASEAN, look for countries that are neighbors. First feed thy neighbor and then move beyond. That's what I believe, and I'm pushing for that.
And maybe we know that as ASEAN Chairman 2025 this year, what are some of the things that we can learn probably, but mostly within the ASEAN we have more emerging economies, but probably what can we learn within the advanced economy? Probably they have more sources, they have more knowledge, they have more funding to expand or boost in any aspect key areas within the economy and business. Maybe what some of the things that we can learn?
I think learning, we have to learn. Every day is learning. We are learning every day. What can we learn from them? We are actually replicating many of the things that they have done. The high-tech industries we are replicating. Malaysia has done a very good job in trying to lure many of these semiconductors, high-tech industries into your country. Hats off to that. We are doing the same thing. We are learning in different fields. Now, each country, what I always say again is that each country should look at a certain supply chain. If you look at the semiconductor industry, they may have a supply, they have 15, 20 supply chains. Which one would you want to go on? Malaysia can take one, Thailand can take one, Vietnam can take one. That way, we don't cannibalize each other. Because if you cannibalize, then we are dead. We all die together. Sorry. But you get where I'm coming from. Yes. So we're learning, and learning process, how can we tap them? You have opened up for long-term visa. You have opened up for people with high talent. We have done the same thing. Vietnam is doing the same thing. Singapore did that nearly a decade ago. So we're learning. Every day we're learning, and we're looking at opening up different areas to bring in talent. The talent we don't have, we bring in. We look for ways to grow our own talent at home. So, and again, back to the same thing, collaboration. Collaborate as much as possible. Don't be in competition with each other all the time. Competition is good.
Healthy competition.
Healthy competition, along with no cannibalization. It doesn't make sense to cannibalize on each other.
Yeah, why would? Well, we can complement each other in a lot of ways. So I understand. And taking about Thailand, Malaysia's role in ASEAN 2024 as Malaysia at the early stage of ASEAN chairmanship. Looking forward, how can Thailand contribute to more cohesive or forward-looking regional economic policy? As you mentioned, firstly, collaboration, but what are some of the key components that we can take a look at, maybe at the first or early stages?
I think we have said certain areas have already been highlighted. where Malaysia can take the lead in helping push. You know, logistics is one of them. We have already said that. I think, and over the next 8 months, 9 months is it? Before the ASEAN summit happens in November.
Yes.
There are all these bilateral meetings and other meetings, and you know, in order to hammer out some of the issues that are that's faced by most of us in most other countries. But in terms of Malaysia and Thailand, I think in terms of Malaysia and Thailand, we have been looking. I've been told on many of the issues. We will go back. I met your Minister Zafrul, His Excellency Zafrul, Minister of Trade. We are, again, if I can say this, private sector. We have what we call joint committee. Joint committee, Joint Trade Commission, JTC. Every time they meet, in the past has been years and years. And I asked His Excellency, I said, Excellency, why does it have to be 5 years, 6 years down the road every time they have the JTC meetings? Why can we not do it 5, 6 months? Or even sooner? And His Excellency said, oh, not a bad idea. So again, pushing forward what would take forever to be done, to be done sooner, and hopefully by the end of this year, before November, that would help propel trade relations between us and the ASEAN as well. So those are things that we are working behind the scene, and hopefully will be successful.
And probably they say it's only 1 year, ASEAN chairmanship for 2025, but we want to look, the impact goes beyond after this year, 2026 maybe. They say, oh, there are going to be more investors, more trips, more people coming in, contributing to, can we say, probably in all of our industry sector, tech, digital. But after this chairmanship this year, maybe what some of the impacts that probably the people have not seen yet?
Ooh, that's a tough one, because what people have not seen, the impacts would be only visible after the deals are done. How do you expect it to be? How do you expect me to be able to answer a question where what deals are not done yet? I think after the summit is done, after all the bilaterals are done, I think the people will eventually come to realize, and what the question is, how visible to the people. If things happen, if economic momentum continues in the region, it will benefit the people. It truly will benefit the people, because earlier the question about tariffs, the global economy is going to go for a tailspin. You and I both know that, and the world knows that it's going to be a tailspin. The best way the people will see what impact all these meetings, all these bilateral, multilateral meetings have, is when they see the economy continuing to hum, or continue to rise, even though it may not be as per our expectation, but at least it's growing. Even if it grows by 2%, 1%, 3%, instead of 5%, 4% that we saw last year for Malaysia's case, 3% for our case, even if it's a 1% growth in a very turmoil global market, that is what people will see. That people should realize that a government has done a good job. In a market, in a condition where things are going to go haywire, if your government can deliver even 1% growth, and I'm not saying that's a target, our target is much higher, 5%, but I'm saying in the worst case scenario, if your government and my government sees 1% in a very different market conditions, I'll be happy. And that is what I want the people to see, that hey, you have a government that's actually working, is offering you in very tough conditions, even 1% growth. So it's difficult to show to people. It's very difficult to show to people how does it benefit me? Where do I benefit from all this? But the benefit comes in, as I said earlier, through these kind of things.
And this is very important for us to take a look at it very seriously moving forward, because it goes not beyond domestically between Thailand or Malaysia, but it goes beyond that.
Yeah, exactly.
And probably my last question, and it's an honor to have you here and having a conversation with you, even though that your position just 3 months old, but we know that you have come a long way here. Probably you can share with us what's your hope and dream moving forward. Wish list.
Okay, wish list of what? Wish list of
wish list.
Politics, business, or if I can ask, what kind of wish list are you talking about? Everybody has a wish list.
Probably, I have a lot of wish lists I'm going to ask from you. Probably in terms of wish lists in strengthening Malaysia's and Thailand trade relationships and unlocking new opportunities, overcoming significant challenge together, and holding hands, moving forward together.
So, wish list is, as I said earlier, the first statement I made was the $30 billion, that target set by our 2 prime ministers by 2027. If we can achieve it by 2026, I'm here to bring down any kind of trade barriers. I'm going to go to a quarter of all trade between Malaysia and Thailand takes place at the border, Thai-Malaysian border. I am, after this, end of the month, I'm actually driving down to the border from Bangkok. I love driving, so I'm going to drive down to the border provinces to see what problems I face as an individual without using my diplomatic passport. I'm going to use my normal Thai passport to try to enter Malaysia, see without telling the officials that I'm coming. I want to see. You got to experience the problems to be able to solve them. So wish list is, biggest wish list between Malaysia and Thailand is, I want to achieve that target, facilitate trade as smooth as possible, as fast as possible. I don't want to wait for 2027.
No, there's no more waiting actually.
Exactly.
The world is changing.
2027 is a year and a half away.
Yeah, but we're already talking about the future plans now.
Exactly. So wish list for that is, I want to do it. I'm coming from private sector. It should have been done yesterday. Sorry. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I like to get things done ASAP. Because then you move on to the next issue. Yes, Thailand, Malaysia. What about Thailand, Vietnam? What about Thailand, Indonesia? What about Thailand, Cambodia? We can do so much more. Thailand, Philippines. We can do so much more.
Right.
And if we can do it, all that, every country, if I have one wish list for each country, I have 10 wish lists. And if I can fulfill all those wish lists, ooh, the best thing.
So done, recipe is done, and
exactly.
understand that.
And you, at the end of the day, when my term ends, I can proudly say I did something for my country that benefited my neighbors as well. So wish list for my country. That's what I. And by the way, I always make sure everywhere I go, I make sure, and I say this all the time, I'm as Thai as possible, and nobody believes me. which is kind of sad, because they say, oh, your accent is not Thai. You cannot be Thai. Your face is not Thai. I'm like, no, I'm Thai.
Oh, wow. I am Thai.
So yeah, I make sure that when I say my country, I always make sure I say Thailand, Thailand, Thailand. So yeah.
And I want to say thank you very much, Your Excellency, for this valuable insights. It's clear that Thailand and Malaysia have tremendous potential to strengthen ties, trade ties, and navigate global challenge together. Again, I would say thank you very much. It's an honor to have you here. Thank you. Sawadika.
Sawadika.
Sawadika. And I would say thanks to our viewers for joining us today, and stay tuned for more updates on this evolving landscape. Until next time, I'm Nina Roseman. See you again.